This review contains spoilers for Doctor Who Series 11. If you do not wish to hear the spoilers for this season of Doctor Who, then please click off now. If you are staying with me, then let's discuss Doctor Who Series 11. So today, folks, I thought I would be taking a closer look at Doctor Who Series 11. Now, this video is different from most that I do because normally I have a set script that I follow, and today I don't have that. I just have some general ideas of things that I want to talk about. Also, this video is going to be much more laid back because I don't have a script, so I'm just going to be kind of relaxing and talking about all of the things that I want to talk about and taking my time with it. I have no idea how long this video is going to end up being. It might be 15 minutes, it might be 50 minutes. I just have no idea. It could take me a long time to get through certain things, or it could take me no time at all. So we're just going to see how it goes and hopefully have fun doing it. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this. So, obviously, the editing in this video is going to be a little bit lighter, too, because I'm not going to have footage for, however long this video is going to be. And, ultimately, I have a few questions that I'm going to answer, and those are all going to help me to answer the question, was Series 11 successful? And I'll also be attaching a rating at the end of this video for the series as a whole, how I thought it was. But I'm not just looking at how I thought the series was, although that is a big component of this video. So here are the things that I'm going to be looking at. What did I think of Series 11? What did the fans in general think of Series 11? What did the critics think of Series 11? And then ultimately, was Series 11 successful? So let's just start off, at the start. What did I think of Series 11? Primarily, this video is just for me to tell you what I think of Series 11 as a whole, because I feel like it's been several months since Resolution, it's been over 3 months, and I've had plenty of time to think about this series, and just how it fits into the rest of Doctor Who that I've seen, and just how I feel about it, positively and negatively. So, I quite enjoyed this series. In terms of the writing, I thought the writing was mostly good. There are across the episodes, specific episodes, where I think the writing is really weak. If I was to point out the worst episode, I would say is the Saranga Conundrum, which I think is just bland. That's the reason I don't like that episode. But also, nothing in terms of the writing is interesting. Even our characters in that episode, they don't do much, or they aren't very entertaining, and I don't feel like they really grow much. They try to do something with Ryan there, with the whole pregnant dad and everything, but it didn't really amount to much. But overall, the writing was strong. They had entertaining stories. It wasn't great. There was a couple of episodes where I thought the writing was stellar. Namely, It Takes You Away. I thought that was excellent. I was thoroughly engaged by that episode, and every move that it made, I had no idea where it was going, what it was up to. It just did a bunch of stuff that, just thinking about it right now, I want to watch the episode. I thought it was really fantastic. And that episode, I think the writing was excellent. But then, just overall, it was relatively solid. I think the best ones are Kerblam, but that one, it doesn't have a lot of original ideas necessarily. I mean, we've kind of seen that stuff before. It's just done really well. And then Rosa, I thought, was really solid, and that worked for me. But overall, the writing just has been good. Sometimes not so interesting, like in Witchfinders for me. Sometimes a little more mixed. I would say Resolution is a little more mixed one. Mostly positive, though, in Resolution, because there's just little niggles for me on that episode that just don't really work. So then when I look at the episode as a whole, while I'm watching the episode, there's not really much that bothers me, but then when I actually sit down and think about it, there's a fair few things that stick out to me and I go, hey, does that actually make any sense? And ultimately, I think a lot of them don't, but overall, I'm going to say the writing was good enough. There is some, as I said, it's kind of mixed. That's the problem. So it's good. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's good, mixed positive. We'll leave it at that. Looking at the characters more, of our 4 main characters, just in terms of how well developed they are and how well I understand them, I think I understand Graham the most, just because of his grieving and how he processes that. And I just understand where he's coming from, and it also helps that Graham is a very likable character, very loving, just a delight to have on screen. But just in terms of like understanding him and believing him, he works the best for me. And then I think the one that works the least for me is Yaz, just because I don't think they developed enough for her, and I really do hope that they do more with her in series 12. Otherwise, she may end up going to waste, and that would be unfortunate, wouldn't it? And then I think Ryan is mostly good. I understand him. I like him. And he comes from the same place that Graham does, so they have a lot of chances to talk with each other and to understand each other and just to work well together, so that's good. The Doctor is a little bit of a harder character to talk about, just because this character has so much history that, you know, just looking at one incarnation, it's hard to think about how much I acknowledge the other incarnations of the Doctor when I'm talking about this one, and how much that, you know, informs this Doctor. And ultimately, it's just, I might as well just say, I do really like this Doctor. I enjoy watching her on screen. I think Jodie Whittaker is just a delight to watch. So I think she's great, and but she doesn't. She kind of finds herself, you know, across the series, and it's fun to see her do that. I don't think there was. It's hard to say. Maybe there wasn't enough, you know, screen time for this Doctor, because I think they could have done more with her, and instead she was pushed not at the forefront quite as much as I would have liked to see, because she could have, you know, developed more and done more. But unfortunately, she's back there a little too much for my liking. I'm hoping next series that we get just a bit more of Jodie Whittaker, and she gets to do more, and just we get to understand her more, because I do feel that it's we haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, this Doctor, like, I totally understand her and could totally describe her. There are things I could describe about her, but you know, it's just hard at the moment, because I don't feel like they've given her enough at this point. So yeah, overall, kind of the same thing with the writing, a little bit more positive. But I'm gonna say the characters, they did well on the characters. That was, can I say that was their strongest of like the important things they have to do in the TV show? That was probably the strongest thing they did, was the characters, because I mean, even Yaz, I like Yaz. The more she was on screen, the more I was liking her, even though she didn't have a lot to do, and I don't think they used her to her full potential so far. I do like her. I do enjoy watching her on screen. So yeah, that's that. Just in terms of the look of the show, how different it is from years past, this show looks absolutely beautiful. It looks cinematic. It looks just incredible. I love just all of these shots that they have that are just so wonderful to look at. It's just amazing eye candy. And yeah, the show looks incredible. Huge props to everyone. The CGI is a marked improvement. I mean, you know, like, sometimes you can tell it's CGI, like with the Dalek and Resolution, when it's on the woman's back. I forget her name, but, you know, I'm not going to sit here and remember it for 30 seconds. And, you know, like, I think one of the weaker CGI things was, what was it called? The Bating from The Serena Conundrum, my least favorite episode of the season. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Overall, the look of the show has been really good. I just love this new look. And something rather specific I want to talk about is the feel of the show, because the feel of the show is distinctly different from, say, the Tennant era, or even the Capaldi era, or the Smith era. It's like specific. It's hard for me to explain what it is, but when I watched this season, it had a very specific feel, almost like hopeful, I guess, and just like it was like in awe of the universe. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but it's got this feel to it that I really like, and it's different. It's not even my favorite feel for Doctor Who. Like, I love the feel of, say, Tennant episodes, or even if we're going to talk about Capaldi episodes, you know? But I do really like this feel. Even it doesn't have to be my favorite. I just really like the feel of Doctor Who. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you get a different feel when you watch the show, but the feel that I get, I really like. And just in terms of the overall quality of this season, I thought it's good. Now, normally, I think that Doctor Who is great. and this time around, I did think it was good. So I do think this season is, if I'm actually going to rank the seasons, it's not going to be high up there. Like, I just thought that overall, most of the episodes in the season were just good. Like, if I'm just talking about the good episodes, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, I thought was a good episode. The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos, I thought was a good episode. Arachnids in the UK, most people really don't like that episode. I don't know about most people, but a lot of people. I thought it was a good episode. Not as good as the two I just mentioned, but, I thought it was a good episode. I thought The Witchfinders was all right. It's pretty good. It's not great. I thought that there were some really good episodes, some standout episodes like Kerblam and It Takes You Away and Resolution. And I should note, stop here a second, I am counting Resolution in with this season because we're probably going to get a special after this one before the next season. There's probably going to be like either a New Year's Day special or probably not, but possibly a Christmas Day special at the end of this year. I'm not expecting that, by the way. But we will probably have a special later before we get another season. So that would mean that if we had two specials in between two separate seasons, then what happened when we had Series 9 and Series 10 was that the Christmas special at the end of after Series 9, which was Husband's River Song, that was counted as a Series 9 episode, and the next one, which was The Return of Dr. Mysterio, was counted as a Series 10 episode. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same dealio. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to go ahead and make that call and count in series or Resolution with Series 11. And even if it doesn't count, technically, if it ends up not counting as a Series 11 episode, then it's not going to change my rating of this season. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. So anyway, I thought that most of all there was just good episodes, but then there were some standout ones like Resolution and Kerblam and It Takes You Away and, oh gosh, what was the other one? Oh, Rosa. I really liked Rosa. That was really solid. And then there's a couple that are quite solid, like Demons of the Punjab, and honestly, I think The Ghost Monument is pretty underrated. But then there's something like, there's always, every season, there's an episode like The Saranga Conundrum, which just, I watch it and I'm like, oh, that didn't need to be there, and I really thought that we were going to get these shorter seasons, that they were going to do away with episodes that were just utterly pointless, but I felt the Saranga Conundrum did nothing and was pointless, and I would have rather the season was 10 episodes instead of 11 episodes if we're going to get something like the Saranga Conundrum in there. Do you feel me? Like, I just feel that if they're going to spend, like, in the scripting process, they should be able to, if there's an episode that week, go, hey, either let's make this better or let's do something else. Because since they're doing less than before, I just thought that this was going to turn out to be a little more of a positive season than it ended up being. Like, I thought we wouldn't get that. Or even something like The Witchfinders. I thought it was pretty good, but I thought that almost everything else in the season was better. And I thought that, like, it had so much of the episode I was like, oh, I've seen this before. We're so far into Doctor Who, we've seen so much, that this episode to me really felt like, oh, I've really seen this before. It's just, that episode to me was it was enjoyable enough, but so much of it was just had that feeling to it, and didn't feel very inspired to me. So yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. So if I'm going to be ranking all of the Doctor Who seasons, this one is going to come in second to last. I would actually put it above Series 8. And then, so my bottom one would be Series 8, and then this would be just above that. And that's pretty low. Even though I did enjoy this series a good amount. If you've seen my reviews, you can see, hey, I enjoyed this series. And if you haven't seen my reviews, then, it's fine. I'm telling you what I thought now. I really enjoyed it. I had fun. I enjoyed meeting these new characters, and I enjoyed the feel of the show. And I'm just hoping that with Series 12, I might even do a video separate about that, that they can improve the quality, and if they have to, make it 8 episodes, so that we don't have to have something like the Saranga Conundrum, or have something like the Witchfinders, where it just feels like our time is being wasted. That's how I felt for those episodes. I might have just bumped something there. Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. That's how I felt about the series. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer. Next up, what did the fans think? So, there has been a lot of talk about this series. It's been a big deal. I mean, the show's been rebooted. Everyone's like, wants to have their say, naturally. And the people that I have seen talk about it have been mostly positive. I don't think I've seen anybody that straight out loved this series, of just like the reviewers that I watch. But of like the reviewers that I watch, most of them were positive but had issues. And that's how I feel as well. Positive, but I have some issues with it. And just in terms of like other places where you can go and check what people thought, like IMDb is the place that I check a lot, but it's hard to tell how reliable IMDb is, because there's lots of stuff that I don't know how to say it. This is like a separate point, so I don't really want to bring this up and just brush over it and then have somebody bring it up and be like, hey, that thing you mentioned about IMDb, tell me more. IMDb can sometimes be unreliable because sometimes people make lots of accounts and rate stuff and rate, I'm getting off topic. Anyway, IMDb can be unreliable, and it's hard to tell exactly what people thought about the episodes when there are so many people giving episodes 1 stars and 10 stars. Either way, it works. People will just make tons of accounts and rate stuff either direction. So it's really hard to tell based on just IMDb. Same thing with like Rotten Tomatoes, the user score. It's hard to tell how many of those people legitimately thought that about the season. So for this particular thing, because it has been, for whatever reason, so attractive. Oh, what's the word I'm thinking of? It has magnetized people who care about certain political things. And I'm being vague, but you probably know what I'm talking about. So yeah, enough about that. It's hard to tell exactly what the fans thought, but most of what I've seen has been leaning towards positive more than negative, and you can cite me something like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, but it's really hard for me to take all of that seriously when I know how much those can be so easily altered, especially Rotten Tomatoes. So, I use IMDb all the time, but like, it's so easy for people to just make accounts and rate stuff. So it's hard to tell exactly how much of that is real. And then when people it's easier to see how people felt on is just polls that are up for a very short amount of time, because people don't have time to give a poll that is only up for 24 hours tons of votes either way, or bring people's attention to it. And it's so it's easier to see that, oh, this number of people are generally liking the series. And what I've seen from those is that, yeah, more people are liking it than not. So yeah, I can't say for sure exactly what the fans generally think, but as far as I can tell, people like it more than people don't, and that's a good thing. But I haven't seen people that have been loving it just across the board. So it's where we'll see where Doctor Who continues to go. And yeah, I brought up this point about what did the fans think, but ultimately it's hard for me to tell you that. And I feel like you probably are best off, not worrying about that, because I don't worry about that, and it doesn't really matter too much what the fans think. It matters if you enjoyed it, because if you didn't enjoy it, then who cares if everyone else loved Series 11? If you didn't like it, then it doesn't matter, because you didn't like it. So that's unfortunate, Personally, I did like it, so I don't have that problem. But anyway, yeah, I've seen mostly positive stuff, so that's enough about that point, because I don't really have a ton that I can say, and I wish that I did. I really wish I did. I wish I could tell you, 84%, that's a random-ass number, by the way, random number, percent of people liked this season, but I can't. It could be 16% of people. I doubt it. That's not what I've experienced, but Anyway, so enough about the fans. Hard to say. Let's move on to what did the critics think. Now, this is also really hard to tell, because the main site that I go to for critic reviews is Rotten Tomatoes. And one of my biggest problems with Rotten Tomatoes is how they handle television reviews. Because so many TV shows are given a tomato meter, right, for each season. Okay, so that's fine. That's great. But if we take a look at something like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is coming out in 3 days from when I'm recording this video. Then, when Season 11 came out, I was interested to see... This is when I started to learn about this, I think. I was interested to see what the score would be and whatever. And this is about when I learned that any review for, any episode of the show counts. Because a bunch of people reviewed the first episode. They reviewed Dragonstone when it came out for season 7, episode 1 of Game of Thrones, and then that counted towards the tomato meter if they liked that episode or they didn't. So I think right now season 7 is sitting at like 93%. But a lot of those reviews are from early on, like at the first episode, as if you could tell what the quality of the rest of the season was. And it's kind of the same thing across the board with television. That happens where people just see a couple of episodes, and then they review those episodes, and then that review gets counted in the tomato meter, and then boom, that contributes to it. So that's pretty unfortunate, at least from where I'm sitting, because that means that Doctor Who's tomato meter, I don't know what it's sitting at right now. I think it's in the 90s. A lot of those reviews are from just the first episode, a lot of them, and then some of them are from like the middle, and then there's a couple from later. But like, I don't know exactly the numbers, but it's hard to tell what critics thought as well. So you might be seeing what I'm getting at here. It's really hard to tell what critics thought about the season. I'm not really going to talk more about this. I know there's other sites like Metacritic and whatever. I personally don't use Metacritic. I just don't, okay? That's just me. So it's hard to tell exactly what fans thought. It's hard to tell exactly what critics thought. And there's always this thing where people that didn't like something are more vocal than the people that did like something. Personal experience tells me this. And you probably already knew this. This is not some kind of big revelation. That's just, what I believe from my experience of dealing with people and stuff. So anyway, it's hard to tell what people thought. It's hard to tell what the critics thought. Overall, Series 11, it mostly just matters what you thought, I can only tell you what I thought. I quite enjoyed it. I see room for improvement. I really hope it does improve. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So, this is not the end of the video, but I want you to tell me what you thought of Series 11. Tell me everything you liked. Well, not everything, but tell me what you liked and what you didn't like. Okay? I want to know your honest opinion, because then I can get an idea, just from the viewers of this video, of what you thought of this season. It's hard for me to tell exactly who liked it. I'm not going to put up a poll or anything. Sorry if you heard that again. But I just want to know. So tell me what you thought. You've heard what I thought. Let's have a conversation about this. And now we're going to get to the question, was Series 11 successful? So, was Series 11 successful? I'm going to go ahead and say it was, because the reactions that I've seen have been mostly positive from people. And I think that it did a good job at reaching new audiences. More people are seeing Doctor Who. People are liking Doctor Who. And I enjoyed Doctor Who, and the reaction that I've seen has just generally been positive. And I'm actually going to mention this just so that people won't comment about it and bring it up at all. The ratings, they don't matter. Doctor Who is not going to get canceled. It got renewed for Series 12. The ratings don't matter. They don't affect the quality of the show. They do. You can use them to measure the success. And if you wanted to, then sure, look at the ratings. You can see it's doing better than it was last season or the season before. You can see it's doing well. But personally, I don't think the ratings matter. So, I don't care. Okay? That's all I'm going to bring up the ratings to today, is that I don't think they matter. But in terms of measuring success, you could use them. Fine. That's reasonable enough. So yeah, I think Series 11 was successful. That is my ultimate point here. It was successful. There is room for improvement, okay? It was not perfect. I have my issues with it. I have my qualms, things that I just think could have been done better. But there's lots of stuff that I really like. There are some episodes that are among my favorite. Well, one episode, It Takes You Away, that is among my favorite Doctor Who episodes. Probably not like top 10, but it is quite up there. I just think it's excellent. I love that episode. It's so good. Anyway, enough about It Takes You Away. Overall, I just thought this season was really entertaining. We met some new characters, had fun with them. I did, at least. Went along some fun rides, some good episodes, some not so good episodes. But overall, it stayed on a overall good level. It didn't ever get into what I thought was terrible quality. Sometimes it reached great heights. It was a little bit mixed, but it was mixed positive. And I thought this was quite a good season although far from the best the Doctor Who has to offer. And I'm going to be giving Series 11 of Doctor Who a rating of 8.25 out of 10. One thing I forgot to mention earlier in this video that I'm doing is going to be ranking every episode in this season for you so that you know just exactly how I felt these episodes related to each other. So yeah, let's just start. Number 11, The Serena Conundrum. I thought it was the worst episode. Totally boring. Barely entertaining at all. Second time I watched it, I laughed a little bit, but that was like the only entertainment value that I got from this episode. It was really, really bland, and I almost fell asleep the first time. Moving up in the ranks to number 10 has to be The Witchfinders. This is a significant improvement, but it was very much same old, same old. I didn't feel like this episode did much new. There was monsters, which turned out to be aliens, and I just felt like I had seen it before. So yeah, that was that. Moving up to number 9 has to be Arachnids in the UK. That episode, I really liked it the first time I saw it. Second time, liked it less. Third time, liked it even less. It was good, but it was a little bit uneven. There's just elements that just don't, like this, just don't work. The more I watch it, like the stupid villain and the spiders don't work as well on a rewatch. But there's elements that I really like the ending. So yeah, that's going to be number 9. Moving up on the list to number 8, that's going to have to be, for me, The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos. So this episode, it was good, but it wasn't great. It had some entertaining stuff in it. I liked how Graham was dealing with stuff, and I enjoyed seeing that with the Doctor and how he ended up taking care of that. It was good, it just wasn't a great episode. You know, it just felt like a good episode of Doctor Who. And moving up to the number 7 spot is going to be the first episode of the season, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, which I did slightly prefer, I think. They're really close for me, so it's hard to say exactly. But The Woman Who Fell to Earth was just, you know, it was an enjoyable first episode. I liked seeing all these new characters and stuff, and it wasn't great, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing these people, and it was beautiful. And yeah, so that's going to do it for that. So, moving up in the ranks to number 6, I think. I hope I'm counting right, otherwise this is gonna suck. Number 6 is gonna have to be probably The Ghost Monument. The Ghost Monument, I think, is underrated. I think it's got some really solid stuff in it. If you watch my review, you'll see why I think it's got some solid stuff in it. Like, just that ending alone bumped that episode up a good, like, half a star for me. I do really like that episode. I think it's solid. I would watch it right now if you put it in front of me. Moving up to number 5, that for me is going to have to be Demons of the Punjab. Demons of the Punjab, I really like. That episode it's just so good. I love the ending, and just how it did feel like it was like the villains of Twice Upon a Time, where it was like, oh, they're not really villains after all. They're actually good. But, you know, it was still a good use of that element, even though it felt familiar. So yeah, that was that. Moving up in the ranks to number 4. So at this point, I think I'm going to have to go... I have to make a split-second decision right here, because it's really between 2 right now, and I'm just going to make this decision and just go for it. At 4th spot, I'm going to put Resolution. Resolution just has a little... It's got some niggles in it, but it's got some really good stuff with that Dalek. It's a really good episode. I really like it. I really enjoy this episode. Yeah, Resolution is just a great introduction of the Daleks, and it was just a solid freaking episode. Moving up to number 3, we are going to be having Kerblam. Kerblam has less problems for me. I really enjoy that episode. It's just so much fun. It's just, I'm really excited for, I forget the name of the writer, but whatever he does next season, if he's coming back, I would love to see that, because I really enjoyed Kerblam. Moving up to number 2, we are going to be having Rosa. Rosa is just, that ending hits me, man. That ending hits me. And I think even though the villain's really simple, it makes sense to have a simple villain, because the villain is racism, and personifying that it's not going to end up being good. It could end up being destructive. And I think it was wise to keep that villain simple, because racism is simple. You know, it's not that complicated. People are just racist, you know? So the villain was racism, and I thought that worked. And I love the ending, and I think our characters didn't interfere too much. They didn't take away from Rosa Parks' shine. They just worked well in the story. So, moving up to the number 1 spot, you heard it here before, It Takes You Away. I loved this episode. It takes you away. It's just such a remarkable episode to me. It's emotional. It's just engaging the whole way through. It's got twists and turns, and well, the first time I watched it, I had no idea where it was going. Second time I watched it, I was just still as engaged as the first time. Just, it kept going. They kept going different places, and by the end, just everything makes sense, and it's just such good sci-fi. But man, I just love that episode. I love seeing what the different ways that they can take it, because there were parts where I was like, oh, I feel like that, oh no, that you just ruined what came before. But by the end, it just made sense to me. So I really love this episode. So yeah, that's my ranking of the episodes. Feel free to tell me your ranking of the 11 episodes, or just 10 if you don't want to count resolution, in the comments below. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for now. Classic Who videos are going to be coming back soon. In fact, hopefully next Sunday after this. So this video is probably coming up on Easter, so probably on the 28th, you'll get a Classic Who video for the Edge of Destruction, and then the next episode after that, which is, well, I forget which episode after that. Anyway, we're going to be doing Classic Who videos. Every once in a while, I'll throw in a list video or something to spice stuff up and make it not just Classic Who, but largely I'm going to be doing Classic Who until we get another Doctor Who episode or trailer or something else to talk about, because I've been rewatching and watching a lot of classic Doctor Who, and it's been quite fun. So anyway, that's going to do it for now. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon. Take care, and have a lovely week.